Hello, my mathematicians. Today we are looking at Module 13, Lesson 3, which is all about rounding decimals. Hopefully by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to use an understanding of place value to round decimals to a given place. If we look at the spark you're learning, it says, in car racing, times are measured to the nearest thousandth second. The time it takes 10 cars to make one lap around a short track is shown. Sort the cars into boxes using the time for each car to the nearest second. Okay, so if we look at this, we'll start with car 1. We have 15 and 2/10. Well, the 2 would tell us to leave that 5 alone, so that means that it is going to be 15 seconds. So car 1. Then we have 14 and 834 thousandths, but we just need to look at our tenths place. The 8 tells us to bump up that 4, so that would also be 15 seconds. We look at car 3. We have 16 and 43 hundredths. The 4 in the tenths place tells us to leave the 6 alone. So we have car 3. Car 4 has 15 and 99 thousandths. The 0 tells us to leave the 15 alone. So we have car 4. Car 5, we have 15 and 873 thousandths. We look at the 8 tells us to bump up the 5 to 6, so it's 16 seconds. Go over to car 6. It's 14 and 45 hundredths, so the 4 tells us to leave the 14 alone. So it's going to be 14 seconds for car 6. Car 7 is 15 and 503 thousandths, so that 5 tells us to bump up the 15, so that'd be 16. Car 8, we have 14 and 498 thousandths. The 4 tells us to leave the other 4 alone, so that would be 14 seconds for car 8. And then for car 9, we have 16 and 4 hundredths, so the 0 tells us to leave that 6 alone. So it would be 16 seconds for car 9. And then for car 10, we have 15 and 53 seconds. 5 tells us to bump up the 4 to a 15. So we get car 10. Okay, so build understanding. In a long track car race, a driver's lap time was 28 and 266 seconds. Label the tick marks. Show where the driver's time can be represented on the number line. So we're going from 28 and 2/10 to 28 and 3/10. So that means we're going to have to go to the hundredths place. So that means that each dot would go 100th. So we're going to have 28 and 21 tenths, 28 and 22 tenths, 28 and 23 tenths, 28 and 24 tenths, 28 and 25 tenths, 28 and 26 tenths, 28 and 27 tenths, 28 and 28 tenths, 28 and 29 tenths. So the driver's time, if we look over here or here, we have 28 and 266 thousandths. So we have go to the 26 and 26 thousandths, going to be, or 266. 6 is a little over halfway, so it's going to go right there. So it says, how could you divide the space between each pair of tick marks to show thousandths? You could divide each section into 10 equal parts. 1,000ths is 1/10 of 100th. How can you determine to which 100th second the driver's time is closer? Round 228 and 266 seconds to the nearest 100th second. So we can determine this because on the number line, (28 and 266 thousandths) is closer to 28 and 27 hundredths than it is to 28 and 26. So it rounds to 28 and 27 hundredths seconds. How can you determine to which 10th second the driver's time is closer? Round 28 and 266 seconds to the nearest 10th second. Well, so just like before, if you look over here, this is the tenths, and it is closer. So on the number line, (28 and 266 thousandths) is closer to 28 and 3/10 than it is to 28 and 2/10. So it rounds to 28 and 3/10 seconds. Okay, so the speeds are also measured to the nearest thousandth. The fastest speed in a race was 96 and 479 thousandths miles per hour. Write the speed in the place value chart. So I'm going to go 96 and 479 thousandths. To round the speed to the nearest hundredth, circle the digit in the hundredths place in the chart. So that would be the 7. Then underline the digit to the right of the place to which you are rounding. And how does this digit compare to 5? Well, 9 is greater than 5. So if the digit to the right is less than 5, the digit in the place to which you are rounding stays the same. If the digit to the right is 5 or greater, the digit in the rounding place increases by 1. So round the speed to the nearest hundredth. Well, 9 is greater, so we're going to increase the circled digit, so 96 and 48 hundredths. We leave everything else off, miles per hour. Then it says round the speed to the nearest tenth and to the nearest whole number. So the tenth would be here. 7 is greater than 5. So we're going to do 96 and 5/10. Miles per hour, again, everything after the place value we're rounding to stays off. So then we go to the whole number. So this one right here, our 4 is less than 5. So that means that to the ones place stays the same. So it'd be 96 miles. Oops. Per hour. And that is all for today's lesson. Hopefully, you are now able to use an understanding of place value to round decimals to a given place. And remember, in order to be a math person, all you have to do is be a person and do math.